All right, welcome back. We have Dorinda Barker, relationship coach. Next Connection. You've heard about it, but we'll talk more in depth about what she does. Dorinda, welcome to the show. We're going to talk about the do's and don'ts of dating, but then Hollywood dating, or just, we're in an era that now everything virtually is fake it till you make it. So, how does that kind of play into the new landscape of dating in 2022?
So it's so funny. Hi guys, I'm Dorinda. By the way, we started because I was like, let's go right into it.
She's ready to talk. Yeah,
I'm ready to talk.
let's go.
So here's the thing with dating. And this is something that has been happening for a few years now, but especially with the pandemic, online dating is really taking over. And the prediction is by the end of 2022, 413 million people will be on a dating app at some point.
Mhm.
And which is great. I think is wonderful and beautiful and everything like that. It's just a new way of dating. But but also the problem is I feel people are confused about dating. And they're confused about what are the roles anymore, because women now make money, still not making as much as men, but they're making money and they can leave. Most people got into relationships because you wanted to get married, you wanted a husband, you wanted a wife, you wanted a family, you wanted all those things. And you can still have all of those things, but what kept a woman from leaving is because financially, and she had someone taking care of her. She had the finances, she had the roof over her head, she had all of those things because a lot of times she didn't work. Now we're in this place that people are working and women are working and women can take care of themselves. The thing is now with that, we as women, we take on so much as it is. So sometimes we don't let go as much as we should be, the word is vulnerable. And and I use the shelf analogy. I use this a lot, but it's my favorite analogy. And the shelf analogy is you're with someone, you're with a good guy. He's a good guy. Your shelf is broken, right? He sees the shelf is broken. He's like, I'll fix the shelf for you. And then you're like, no, I got it. He comes back next week. Shelf is still broken. He's like, you know what? Let me really take care of the shelf for you. No, I got it. Well, the next time there is no one there to fix the shelf because he found someone else's shelf to fix. Men, it's honestly the truth. Men want to be needed.
So you're saying the modern aspect of the women and where they stand, where they didn't necessarily not require, but stereotypically would require these things. It's been modern and it's been good, but there's still changes that need to be made on how you deal with people in general.
So now, once again, I'm not blaming women for all of this. Let's just let me just put that out there.
No, but if it's a new thing, yeah.
It's a thing that we're taking care of ourselves and we're taking care of the children. We're taking care of everything and we have our own money. Now, here's the other thing too. The thing about us making our own money and being able to live our own lives and to do great things and not to have someone provide for us. Mediocre men that were great, like the Lizzo songs, Why Men Great Till They Have to Be Great. Mediocre men now have to actually step up to the plate. And when I say that is like all you had to do was have a job and all you had to do is be able to provide and not really do much. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically saying that because of the lack of options, quality options, you think women have had to settle a little bit.
Oh yeah, I think women settle all the time. I think women settle. I do think, and once again, we're talking about women right now. Men, we'll get to the men, But I do think that women settle. I think they've settled for a long time, but now because of different structures, they don't have to settle as much,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. I also think that because rules are changing, I see like some women like wanting to pay for half of the first date or something like that. Women, please, once again, that's a vulnerability thing. Let him show you that he's going to show you that he's worth it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't allow someone to show you who they are or how they're going to take care of you or how they're going to care for you, then when it gets down the road and it is where it's at, and then you're like, he doesn't do this and he doesn't do that and blah blah blah. Well, you never gave him that time to ever do that anyway. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. You're sharp. You're coming with the heat, and we're only 3 minutes in.
I know.
She's got a full breakdown. I'm like, I had questions, but go ahead. No, this is good. I mean, I guess one thing you account in your business with Next Connection is that there's so many modern post-pandemic ways of living, and I guess a lot of us don't even think about that. I've never even thought that comprehension in terms of dating, but there's these new tools, not tools, distractions actually. There's these new distractions, both good and bad, and you're taking that in account when you do what you do as a relationship coach. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and also to be honest with you, I'm dating and everything like that, and I do allow the man to pay. Not allow, I want him to pay. To be honest
Enjoy,
with you,
yeah, enjoy
I
it,
want
yeah.
to enjoy the moment, especially in the first few dates, because that's also setting a precedence to how he is going to be with you. And if everything's going to be 50-50 and your relationship's going to be 50-50, no one's ever really 50-50, by the way, just going to tell you that. But there's always someone giving more, but I can guarantee you if it's 50-50 in the beginning with a man and a woman, and I'm saying this is majority, it's not everybody and all the time, but I am going to tell you that the woman will probably wind up giving more.
Meaning what though? What does that mean?
Because if it's 50-50, and it was seen in the pandemic that women, even though they were working, and now everybody was inside the house, right? And what was happening is that even though women were home and the men were home, women were still taking the brunt of the housework, taking care of the children, everything like that, even though they were working too.
Oh yeah, no, being a what is it called? Domestic, like, the mother of the household, that is a job for sure. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
everyone knows that, don't they? Are you saying there's people that are like not hip to the
Do you know
respect of that?
how
I
many?
mean,
No, I've actually like seen it, like
mm.
where
My mom she worked a little, but she was a fine homemaker or whatever. Like
yeah,
she put the joy in the house. That was a duty. It was work,
yeah, it was work. But what was happening when you had a dual income house, which a lot of houses are a dual income house, when the pandemic happened, even though there was still the dual income coming in, you found the woman of the house taking care of more things because there's still that traditional sense of like your mom and everything like that. And here's the thing. Now, men, I'm going to get into the men part. Men are confused. They don't know what to do because women do have their own things and women are, coming up in this world. And I do think that there are some men that would be okay if one person was making more money than the other and it would benefit the family for someone to stay home to take care of the kids. I think men would step up to the plate.
Mm.
I really do. I've actually talked to a few men who would if it was for the family.
Gotcha.
So I just think at this point, men, it's okay to still ask women out. Women, it's okay to ask men out. But I do believe that in the beginnings of the relationship, we still have to keep certain things that are traditional in this sense. There's a reason for traditions, right?
Yeah.
So, and some people might disagree with me on that, but I'm a very independent woman. Ronnie, you know this.
Mhm.
You know that I'm very independent. I do my own thing, and I am generous with people that I am with. That doesn't mean, women, that you don't give anything to your man, but I mean, I'm generous with the people that I'm with. It's just sometimes I want to. We both are testing people, testing each other, not people, but we're testing each other to see where the relationship is going to be. You want someone who's going to understand you too. You don't want to be with someone who's just there for the money either. You're not there for someone who's just there with the money. You're there with someone who is your person, that you guys vibe on the same level. The energy is there. But I find that's the wonderful thing about women making money. We don't have to be in that place as much anymore, where we have to be with someone because of money. We can be with someone because we vibe with them.
Yeah. Um, where did you feel like you learned all this stuff? You know, like where did it come from that you were able to assess all this information? And, you know, in turn, within your business, I have a quote here, or not a quote, but just, you know, thanks for making it happen from Mike and Lindsay, someone you have worked with, you
Yeah.
know, and you, I assume you from the ground up, and now that, you know, they moved forward or whatever. Where did you learn how to execute this this skill set?
Well, I learned how to execute the skill set, A, from study, and B, from being around people in relationships, and seeing how this world is changing,
Hmm.
and being observant. Honestly, it's, if you take moments, if you take your life and you just observe what's happening in this world, you'll see the changes happening, and you'll feel the changes happening too. But a lot of studying. I actually started out overhauling people's dating profiles, and with that, I started to see the difference and change too,
Hmm.
with dating and in this dating world, and how people communicate on dating apps. People didn't really know how to even communicate on them. And I still
So,
don't think people know how to communicate
So
on
it's
them.
it's like when somebody puts a resume together and it's crap, somebody else comes in and fix it, suddenly they get the job. You are the same equivalent.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Well,
exactly right.
people
And I've
don't
been
put
using that.
yeah, oh really? People don't put a lot of time into the dating app, I
No.
think because I don't know why. Maybe because the stigma is broken. Right? People are totally fine with going on dating apps. I remember
Yeah.
there was a time. In fact, my cousin, she's married to her husband, and they actually have her 17-year-old daughter, which will tell you that was that many years ago that they did the dating. They weren't apps at the time, but they were dating websites or whatnot. And
Yeah.
at that time, that was like you don't do that. And when I tell you, my cousin is happily married, it's astonishing. What's more astonishing is that dating apps became such a regular part of everyone's life. The only problem I think people see, I'll just give you like my viewpoint,
Yeah.
you could tell me, is that they think they're a little chaotic. You know what I mean? Like I wonder, is the best bet, you could tell me, to do
Yeah.
dating apps that are the pay, I guess there's like paid ones like eHarmony or whatnot, but these free ones, they seem just so busy. Am I missing something? I mean,
No.
I don't go on them a lot, but still tell me what you think.
No, I don't think you're missing anything at all. And it's so funny you said that, because I'm going to tell you something. I think whatever dating app you should choose, I think no more than three, by the way. I find people who like go on like five dating apps. I'm like, why would you do that?
Do you have
It's
a
just,
job?
I'm like, that is so much work to meet the same people over and over again, just on another dating app. But three at the most. But pick one or two that you'll pay for, because you do get a better experience if you're paying for it. I think Bumble is $39.99 for 3 months.
Mhm.
Or is that Hinge? Hinge, that's Hinge, because I just paid for Hinge, and it's $49.99. Sorry, it went up. $49.99 for 3 months, but you get a better quality of people. If you're not going to pay for a dating app, you're going to get, when you hear free, what do you think about when you hear free?
Lower than the best.
Yeah. So, and that's the
Yeah.
truth. I mean,
The
it
time and
really is.
money investment into an app that's, you know, more curated for people that are a little more serious, people that are strong enough and smart enough to also have different sides of them. Some will have the more frisky moments, but they still are on there for a genuine real thing. And I think it's turned too much into the dating apps have been so wild and you can't really find a real thing. Again, I'm not on them, so I'm not really like giving my point of view. I'm just giving what I feel that people are talking about right now.
Yeah. So here's the thing: people who are saying I'm not meeting anybody, there's nothing but crap out there. I'm always getting ghosted. The I was catfished, which that does happen and everything like that. I'm gonna actually take that out of this category, but the only losers going because people are still using that added thing. Only losers go on dating apps. Only people who can't meet people go on dating apps. That's not true. Like, get that out of your head. You would think after 2020 we would actually get that out of our head, but it's still there. The stigma is still there. But here's the thing: your energy that you put in is the energy that you get back out, right? In anything that you do in this world, the energy that you put in is the energy you get back out.
Mm-hmm.
So with dating apps, if you're if you your resume, as I like to call it, because I've called it that for years, your resume is crap, what do you think you're going to get?
Yeah, and the well, nothing. You're gonna get.
Yeah, I mean, you will get something, and you might get bots, and you might get people of a lower vibration, or you'll get. I'm not going to say that there's not bad people on there. Of course there is, but there's bad people in real life too. You can meet someone in the grocery store. You can meet someone at the bar and go out on a date with them too, and they can be crap, right?
Yeah, that's
So what's the
it's
difference?
the odds are tough anyway because
Yeah,
in terms of what you said, if anyone were to think the apps equal a ghosting situation, it may, but also you got to understand we're also working 3 jobs now or three freelance gigs, and we're also ghosting people that we meet on Instagram. We're like a little faster of a digital, uh, human race now. So it's not
yeah,
really applicable to the dating app part. It's just how people treat people, which is not good. But that's not
yeah.
to say that the dating app is causing that problem.
Yeah, and exactly, Ron. So, and here's the thing, and I tell people this is it's like meeting people on steroids,
Mhm.
dating on steroids, right? Because you're matching up with all of these people, right? It's constant, boom, boom, boom. It's happening all the time. So then you do get rejection, right? And then you have people shooting their shot with people they probably shouldn't be shooting their shot with, right? And then people get annoyed and angry because that person didn't swipe them back or that person didn't answer them back. And that's a prerogative too of,
Mhm.
no answer is the best answer, which I don't agree with, but I feel some people feel like that no answer is the best answer, right?
Mhm.
So and when I say it's like on steroids, there's so much to it. So when you are out in the real life and meeting people, are you getting like matched up with 50 people in one day?
No, and if you are around humans,
Yeah.
rejection is part of it. You've never stopped doing something because rejection or things that are hard have been a hindrance for the dating apps. I suppose it's the same. I don't know what you think about this, but the one, if I were also a relationship coach, I would say, and who knows, you might be completely off on this one. We may think differently. I've had friends, we've talked about it, and some of them like to have this huge wide net, and they just want to swipe on everybody, increase their odds. And Dorinda, I'm gonna tell you how I do it. Oh no. We're small net. That thing, it is so hard to infiltrate. I
Yeah.
am not one who wants to wake up every day and talk to people I'm never gonna meet or care about. So, to you, relationship expert, next connection is, of course, where we could get more of your information. You have a
Yeah.
book, et cetera, et cetera. That's nxtconnection.com. Which side of that do you stand on?
Okay. Here's my thing. I feel that I'm with you, Ron. You know, I like to be within a 10-mile radius, right?
Okay. Do
I
you
like,
now?
yeah, I like to be within a 10-mile radius of the people I'm going to meet. I know people who like to be within a 100-mile radius, but then they complain that the person's too far.
Yeah.
And so there are certain things I feel like you should, you know, tighten up the net, we'll say, right? Because we'll tighten and loosen up the net. So if you have preferences, there's nothing wrong with making sure that your preferences are met. Why would, if you liked a guy who, or yeah, if you liked a guy or a woman who had one brown eye, one green eye, I mean, they're, that's a little too much. But you know, if you put that preference down, it's going to get rid of people who have purple eyes, right? So it's okay to slim it down. Like if you don't want to be with a person who doesn't have kids, then that's okay. I think it's okay to say I don't want to be with someone who has kids, right?
Yeah, I
It's
think you should be deliberate about all that stuff. And
yeah, you have to be.
the only exception I give is as far as 10-mile radius, I like that, is if you like you travel to San Francisco for work a lot and you want to increase your odds. When I'm in the Bay Area for work, I want to at least see what's happening. I think
Yeah.
that's good and healthy. But the concept of wanting to have so many messages, I literally have a friend now who's getting over someone, and this particular person, you could sort of tell they really missed that old thing. And in my mind, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm listening. And then this person's going on the apps and is just on them nonstop. Oh, I'm talking to this one, and I'm talking to this one, and I'm talking to this one, and I'm talking to this one. And I'm like, wait, I'm confused. Are you over the old thing, or are you trying to like already hover up under someone else? And I guess nothing's wrong with that, but I just feel like it's a bit fast for the way I would like to date. And I also feel like for me, I have a huge open sexual appetite where if I do want to just get down and get busy, I want to own that too. Dorinda, I think what you're telling me and everyone is
Yeah.
that just be authentic to what the needs are for you. If the needs are for you
Yes.
that I'm just trying to wham bam spank it, then
And
you
there's
got to
apps for that too, by the way.
I'm on them. No, but you know what I mean,
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I'm getting from you is that it's all about not being wishy-washy with your parameters. That maybe is the
Yeah.
beginning of the end when you're like, oh, I'm kind of whatever with this. No, if you literally don't feel like you want to date somebody with kids, because that could be something that's triggering, you don't have to. At the same token, I have another friend who has kids and says that they put it on the apps because it's the easiest way to not start engaging with somebody and falling some interest, and all of a sudden they duck out when it's like, oh, single person with kids, alert. And so my friend will be like, no, I put that out there at the beginning because I
Oh
found
yeah,
that
you
it's,
should say that you have kids. You should never put your kids on the dating app.
well, yeah.
I'm a huge believer of that. Anybody who does that, really, I don't know why. I find that women don't do it as much. To be
Mhm.
honest, I find men do it. I don't think men are thinking. So like, they're like, okay, I have seen profiles because I'm on there where the first picture is the kids. He's not even in the picture.
Okay, yeah. It should just
And
be
then,
you,
or
really.
every
Yeah.
picture is with him and his kid. It's like,
Mhm.
no. And you know why people are like, oh, I can't believe you're saying that. No, 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 no. I get it. What I'm trying to say is for the safety of the child, right?
Yeah, no, it's
It's for
you're
the safety of the child more so than anything. You can say it in your profile, say it in your bio. Hey, I
yeah.
have kids and I'm a dad who really loves his kids. Awesome. I'm a mom of 4 and I'm involved in school stuff. You know what I mean? You can say all of that, but stop putting your kids on the profiles because
Yeah,
it
shouldn't be
just
said.
every
Shouldn't even
time
need to be said because that's like the most common sense. Um,
you would think.
I want to ask you. It seems like the beginning of this stage of your career, you've had many stages of different careers,
Yeah.
was with the dating apps. But I feel
Yes.
like that's maybe where it started. Like you said, you would do an overhaul on some of your friends' site dating app sites. But like it feels like it's grown into other things. Do you feel that too? Like I don't
I
even.
do. I do. And I love it. I'm going to say this. I'm going to sound corny, but I love love.
Okay,
And
well that did sound corny. Yes, it did.
I do, but I love to see people love.
Mhm.
And everybody deserves love.
Okay.
And that's the number one. Everybody deserves love. It is something that all of us has, our person out there. I think that there's a few persons out there for us at
That's right,
different stages
Dorinda. That's what
in
I
our
think.
lives.
That's what I think,
Yeah.
Dorinda. Yes, indeed. Oh, not the same night. Okay.
No,
I
no.
got to get my head out of the
Once
gutter,
again,
Dorinda.
those apps are great. So like
I keep it too real sometimes, I
yeah, I
suppose.
know, I get it.
Ah,
But I love that I love to see people in love. But here's the other thing too. When it comes to love, you also know it actually starts with you first, right? Like it starts with you and how you feel about yourself, because how you feel about yourself reflects who is going to come into your life.
yeah.
So if you're not
What you're
feeling
willing
well,
to accept. Yeah. All that.
yeah, I mean, I can tell you from experience, when I was in a bad place, I can tell you what was coming into my life as far as love.
Mhm.
And
It wasn't love, maybe. It was
it
dressed
wasn't.
up. It was packaged as love, but it was something completely
It
different.
was
Yeah.
something different. Yeah. And it was
Codependency is one of the things. Yeah. All
yeah,
that.
there's so many, or like we could go down that rabbit hole, but
I got. Oh, go ahead.
yeah. No, go ahead.
I have two questions. So you are a New Jersey girl, but you spend quite a
We
bit of
don't pump
time.
our gas, we pump our fists.
There she is. We don't pump our gas, we pump our fists, Jersey girl. But Hollywood has been part of your life for so many years.
Yes.
And so I'm wondering a couple things, like what was the original reason to come out to Hollywood? And also when you see all the, and I hate to say fake it till you make it moments, but
Mhm.
just all the stuff that comes with being in this city, um does that add to the complications of dating? Like does Hollywood's, people are always looking for the bigger, better deal. People are always looking for a transactional friendship, let alone dating.
Yeah.
So the two parts is New Jersey girl. I've loved the East Coast. I've lived in New York on and off for about 7 years. I think it's the greatest place ever. But I'm from Southern California. I don't really love it. But you come to Hollywood. The first part is why, and then the second part is people in Hollywood. Um, it seems like it would be a hard freaking place to date, Dorinda.
Okay. So so actually I came out here because originally for acting. I was at a really great conservatory in New York City. I had lived in New York City most of my life, and I couldn't really grow in that area, because when you are in your same place, it's your hometown, like Jersey, New York, everything. I kind of put them all together. And it was time for me to grow, and I always wanted to come to LA, and that's why I came here. So from acting, I did that for a while, and then I went into producing, and yeah, that was the last thing I did, producing, before I was doing this. And what do I feel about dating? Now, I have dated of some good guys in this town. Is it hard? Yes. I feel because people are looking at the aesthetic instead of the aesthetic. Yeah, I'm saying it right. Aesthetic instead
Aesthetic,
of
yeah.
instead of the interior at times. So you have a lot of people out here who are beautiful people. Like they're a dime a dozen out here, beautiful people, right? So what you really need to do is look at the inside.
Mhm.
And I find that I think the men, though, I do feel that the men are changing now. When I first got out here, I mean, you, it was not, it wasn't, it was normal to see a 45-year-old with a 22-year-old all the time,
Okay.
you know? And then us women would age out and the men would get older, but the girls would stay the same age, right? So,
So your window was,
yeah.
you almost had not many opportunities based on just what you saw so much around here.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Mm.
what was I, 28, dating a 50-year-old? Like what was
Okay.
I thinking? Like,
Sounds fun though.
I mean, I'm not gonna say that it wasn't fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a lot. And by the way, that was a while ago.
But
But
but yeah, all these complexities that I think Hollywood would bring to dating. So how do you stay inspired to be a relationship coach with all that what you're kind of saying? Like it seems like this would be the last place. Not that you're a coaching
yeah.
service, um NXT is the words connection, nextconnection.com. You're obviously available for consultations everywhere, but I would assume that you do concentrate locally to where where you're from. So it just feels like it feels like this would be a really hard freaking thing to do, knowing the little conditions. But that hasn't really weathered on you, huh?
No, it hasn't, because you know what I'm finding now here in LA, and this is the true thing. Men and women both want relationships. Everybody wants. So when I started Next Connection, I was only doing the profiles, right? So my tagline when I started Next Connection was everybody's looking for love for 24 hours or a lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Because it was the dating apps, it was Tinder, it was all of those things. Obviously, it has changed because I've seen different things. And like I said, I've always believed in love, in everything like that. But for what I was doing, I had people who were on dating apps just for hookups, because there are hookup sites and everything like that. Because of what I'm doing now, I find that more people want relationships because of what I do now. So now, if I wasn't doing what I was doing, I might not see it, but I see it now because people do want to be in long-term relationships. People do want all those things. So they're coming to me. So I feel like it's a little different for me because of what I do.
I think people might be putting on a facade too. Like, it's so exciting, it's so this, it's so that, almost like making it like, I don't got no time to deal with dating. If you own that and kind of like push against it, you don't have to like really look yourself in the mirror. So maybe there's a lot of that I see, which would make it like, wow, why is Dorinda working so hard on people that don't want this change? But you're saying no, actually there's a lot of people who want this change. You just don't see it as much, because the funnier comment is like, ooh, I did this and I did that, and on the weekend I was here and there.
But it's also too, I think our society even here has changed a little bit since 2016.
Okay, what's interesting
was
about that?
2016, the Me Too movement.
Oh, okay. So that changed.
Yeah, so a lot changed. So I feel like now men here are a little bit more open to getting to know women, a little more open. Before, I feel like we were just objects. And I also, but once again, I could be wrong. I've been doing the relationship coaching for over 2 years, Next Connection for 5 years. But the coaching part, I'm seeing a difference. And maybe it is because my eyes were not open to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. I have more questions for you, and then we'll wrap up soon.
I love questions.
But the first thing I want to know from you, just because I want to know, and I think this evolves, I've heard this evolves. What is your love language? There's the 5 love languages. Which one is yours? Or do you even believe in that?
I
that
do.
Oh, let's go.
I do. Mine, I actually kind of have 2. When I took the test, they were like neck and neck, right? But
remind everyone the 5.
The 5 is receiving gifts, acts of service, physical touch, quality time, and words of affirmation.
Okay.
So mine are words of affirmation and acts of service.
I had done this with both of our friend and colleague, Spicy Marty, on the spicylife.com. We talked about it, and I was telling Spicy Marty that
I love Spicy.
Yes, go to that website too, thespicylife.com. She's fantastic.
Amazing, guy.
And a great podcast that goes hand in hand with that. But I was saying, how can it change? She's like, absolutely, it could change. Because I used to be words of affirmation, and when I look at my life now, I don't want words of affirmation. That's like so far away from me. Quality time and physical touch seem like the best for me. I'm not against the gifts or whatever, because I think I'm such a creative, romantic human being. Like, I'm just such a thoughtful person that the idea of gifts does feel really fun to me. But I think the 2 that really match are like that pure physical touch. And what was the other one I just said? Quality time.
Quality time.
Quality time, because it makes me feel like quality time. What I love about it is, especially in our business, let's say, there's a lot of times where you don't have what the 9 to 5 schedule feels like and what a weekend feels like. So you have to now be comfortable and know that, like, well, we got these 3 days, which is like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's not, any day in particular, but we need to make that time our, oasis, going out to Palm Springs or whatever little trip you want to do, go up north, go to Napa Valley or something like that. To me, quality time is like an act of service, really, because it
Yeah.
requires some thought. So I would feel like at my age, I would much more those two. But I used to be affirmation. I don't feel any aspects of wanting anyone's affirmation at all.
Yeah, I thought mine would have changed, to be honest, just like
Mm,
you,
mm,
because I just took it like a couple months
mm.
ago, and I came back up with words of affirmation as being number one. And what was the other one I just said? I totally forgot. Why?
You didn't say quality time. You didn't say gifts.
Acts
You
of
said the gifts.
service. Acts
Oh,
of
acts of service.
service.
That's a good one.
Yeah, acts of service. Yeah.
That
So
is.
I mean, I figured acts of service would have stayed up there, but I really honestly thought I was more into the gifts thing, but I guess I'm not.
They're funny because they all intertwine, anyways. I mean, it's not
They
like
do. They do.
yeah.
Because if anybody takes that test, you notice, like when you're doing it, at least with me, I don't know if it was the same with you, but all my stuff was pretty even,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
So,
they
but
match
those were
up.
the
If you do
yeah.
quality time, that person's going to be giving a gift probably because you're going to like assess that in your head. If you do gifts, you're spending quality time. I mean, it's all the same. Come on, but it's still a cute little thing to kind of like figure out where you're at in your single life, trying to navigate because it's important to know what you feel like you would like. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to add to that, I do believe that you should know what your partner's love
Oh, okay.
language is,
Yeah.
because you need to match up with it.
Is
Because
that
your
a
love,
first date question?
you can ask that on a first date. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with asking on a first date, because
Okay.
first of all, you can ask that question, and depending on how that person takes it, you can even see how they would be in a relationship. If that's not something they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If you're out with a nice woman or you're out with a nice guy and they're like, ugh, I don't believe in that stuff,
Mhm.
that's great. That's fine that you don't believe in it. But that also, or someone's like, I've never done it. Let's do something like that. What, you know what that becomes? An activity
Love it.
to do together.
Which you used to say that was what people had to do during the pandemic. They had to like plan things a little bit more. I want to
Oh
talk
yeah.
about self love in a moment, self care.
Mhm.
But before we do that, a lot of your and then I want to talk a little bit about Hollywood couples because again, like I said,
Yes.
if I think it's tough to date in Hollywood just because of the nature of the city, let's talk about being in the public eye. So we'll do that in a little bit too. That'll be fun. A couple things I wanted you to bring, and this could be anywhere you feel as far as your information and your education on all these things. A lot of what you said was very the man this, the woman this. Okay, well it's Pride Month, LGBTQIA.
Yes.
I'm right there as a G, just rocking it.
Yeah.
So my thing is like, where does your bit of help and advice work for somebody like me? So when a lot of your teaching, it'll be like, oh well, the woman thinks this. Well, sorry, Dorinda, I don't care what the woman
Well,
thinks.
no, and I know that you're right, and my group of friends, like
Yeah, yeah,
they're
yeah.
all LGBTQ plus,
Smart girl.
Yeah, exactly,
You roll with the best, Dorinda.
exactly.
Yes, you do.
Here's the thing with I've helped my friends, by the way, just to let you know. So I don't just do heterosexual relationships. I don't want anyone to think, and I know I talked more about heterosexual
Mhm.
relationships, but I do deal also in the LGBTQ plus um,
The-
community.
yeah.
But there's also, here's the thing, what happens in those relationships, there's a lot of the same um, biases, I would say, as in a heterosexual relationship when dating. But it's also about respect. So all relationships are about respect, right? And you have to see where the respect is. In every relationship, you have to see where the differences and the similarities are. And if there are differences that you really love in a person, you have to see where you guys come in together. And honestly, that's probably where love languages come in too, by the way,
Mm.
just to let you know. And as far as it goes in the date, when you're dating in a relationship, it depends on how the person is. Do you know? And these are questions. Be honest. Before you even go out with someone, you know, especially in the LGBTQ community, I think, you know, you're having conversations before you go out, right? If you're looking for a long-term relationship, we'll go there, right? You're having conversations, you're getting to know someone. When you're getting to know someone, you're finding out what their likes and dislikes are, what your what's the words?
Compatibility or
Compatibility. Yeah, you find out where the compatibility is. And when it comes to like going out on dates, you're still taking someone out, right? So you're still taking them out to dinner. You're still taking them out to a movie, or you're going to the park, or you're going to a hike, or you're going for coffee, right? And it's also someone can offer to pay, right? Or
right.
it's just the same in heterosexual relationships,
It's
right?
just the communication has to be there because
Yeah.
the rules can change a bit, you know.
Yeah, and
sometimes.
the rules do change a bit. And that's a whole nother show we can do, honestly.
Good, yeah.
Because that's a whole nother show, because in even the way male relationships work, right?
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking if
Yeah.
I'm on the apps, obviously if you're on a grinder or a scruff or whatever, it's like a little bit more the naughty time. But if you wanted to go on something else that's a little more grown up for like a long-term relationship concept, I think even that, like I'm trying to think like what I would say. I think I would say like, oh, instead of doing a bar late night, which only kind of leads to one thing, like why don't we go to Santa Monica on Saturday afternoon, Thursday afternoon, or something like that? Like to me, Santa Monica is great because you could still do the drink per se,
Yeah.
but I like the concept of like, hey, let's just walk around. Let's like to me that is like the romantic type of situation, and I
100%.
and I feel like if I were to offer that as an idea, you really at that point could decide if the person says that's cheesy, well then they're not for me. If they say,
Yeah.
oh, that's fun, like I could see that. Like if they give you some kind of like, oh, well, what would we be doing? Like literally, hopefully getting lost for 3 hours right
And
there,
communicating.
you know, overlooking the ocean, you know, where you lose track of time. You're like, wow, this was a great conversation. At the very least, I want to have a conversation with you again. And that point, you know, you're not really thinking of all the erotic stuff. You're looking more for the person. So I think that's actually a really good tip that I just sort of taught myself right now
Yeah.
from listening to you is, you know, and again, own your times where you're feeling naughty and you act accordingly. But the times you're looking for something a little more, you know, of substance, choose wisely what the date is going to look like, I think.
Yes, and that's a universal thing too. Like even going out on, you know, heterosexual couples, you know, gay couples, queer couples, the fact is it's universal.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need the first date to be catch. You don't need it to be mastros. You know what I mean? Do something as going on a walk through the promenade, or, you know, going for a hike, going, you know, there's so many things you could do. Oh, you know what's happening? Fridays at LACMA, the jazz. You
Oh,
know,
that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, like that's a really great one. And that is universal across the board.
It's more like you're experiencing the city with somebody else. And
Yeah,
I
and
think to
it's
me
about experiences.
that's good romance for me. I like that. So I have that side of me. I have Ronnie romance in me. I do. I have it. I just haven't really acted upon it in such a long time because life gets in the way and so much chaos.
Yeah.
So that's something that structurally you'll meaning me, you'll need to work out. But I think for you, Dorinda, if I could understand correctly, the reason that you work these things out and really get yourself in the best tip-top shape in the situation is you put a lot of self-care. Self-care
Yes.
self-love in the way of being vulnerable online, but also in a workbook that you put together. Tell me about the concept of self-care, why it's so important, and what one could learn about your self-love workbook journal.
So it's really the one thing, whenever you think you're ready to get into a relationship, make sure you have done the work on yourself. That is number one. So if you feel like you have done the work, I would still do something like the self-love journal workbook. And you go in and you do the exercises, and it really helps to see where maybe you are maybe missing a little something, or you're like, yeah, I have aced this. We're good. I mean, you're not always going to, everything you ace doesn't mean you're always going to be 100 at it all the time,
Mhm.
but it's there to show you where you might need a few things, right?
Okay.
So, with, let's say, self love, you have to love yourself before you could be with anybody else. And that's one of the things I found in every relationship that I've ever worked, any person I've worked with, is where are you at this moment? What do you want? So the self love actually helps you. Once you love yourself, then you know what to ask for. You know what you want the universe to bring to you. I say universe, people call God or Allah or whoever. I say universe, but you then can be precise about what you're looking for. Also, the other thing with self love, then when you love yourself, you're able to stand up for yourself. And I, I'm gonna use a cuss word, but I won't. But you won't put up with any crap
Mm-hmm.
because you're like, okay, I don't deserve this. And you'll learn what your deal breakers are. You'll learn what your green flags are, what your red flags are. You will learn once you love yourself what you're looking for in a person.
Talk to me about the community that you've sort of began to be a part of with other people who work in the relationship space. And what have they taught you, or what have you taught them? What's the big takeaway? Now that you're in it, you're probably learning all these other skills that go way beyond relationship expert, relationship coaching. Has that been the case for you?
Yeah. So when you're going into dating, I have a lot of people who are dating for the second time around. I call them my second timers, right? And it is different. Dating now to 15 years is so different. So I do work with wonderful, as Ronnie had put up, these wonderful experts. I've worked with them. There's Tamiri, the astrofashionista. She's an astrologist, and she is no joke. Amazing. Love her. And she does, charts and Reiki, and I think she has her own skincare line coming out. She's amazing. She's worked in the skincare industry, makeup industry for a very long time. We have Denny, uh, uh, De- Denny Kenny, Denny. But Den is a stylist. Who he just styled or he's been styling is Debbie Gibson for her Vegas show.
Oh, Debbie Gibson is the youngest looking person of her age ever.
Yeah, right. And he's amazing. And him and his husband, they just started Arroyo Studios, and it is high end bedding.
Oh,
And
nice.
so, but he's a stylist, so he helps from clothing to interior, and he believes, clothing brings out the best in you. Your style brings out the best in you, actually. And then our friend and lovely counterpart at times, Spicy Mari, amazing. She is a no joke relationship coach, matchmaker, and
Personal cheerleader.
yes,
She makes me feel
yes.
so good after I talk to her.
Mother of Princeton Che, but such a amazing woman. And she, a lot of people were like, why do you pump up other relationship coaches? I said, why not? Because you want to know why? They might have something that I don't have. They might click with someone might not click with me, but they'll click with her. And she's wonderful and she's great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best part of me watching you get into this field. Now you're like kind of growing in all these different ways. What
Yeah.
started as one thing, the specific like, hey, let me fix your profile, that way you could do better online. You keep growing in all these ways. The workbook, the other colleagues that you collaborate with, like all of that is very great to see. And again, it is in the vein of Hollywood is kind of a chaotic lifestyle. I wanted to ask you what you think of Hollywood couples and the pressures. when, and our biggest success story here is, people sort of have a critique for J-Lo in the many men that she's been around. I've always looked at it as, we have one life to live. If it doesn't work, if you don't succeed, try again. Do you think she leans on the and I'm a big J-Lo fan, but I
Yeah,
could still ask, do you think she leans on the side of being desperate, never wanting to be alone, or do you actually commend the fact that she keeps picking up the pieces and trying again to
I feel
find
like she
love?
never wants to be alone.
That's what you feel. Oh, okay. So you feel like,
I mean, like there. I mean, you go from. Um, I do believe she loves Ben. Don't get me wrong. Like I do believe that.
oh,
Like
so you're end game with Ben. Okay.
I think like yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I think for her, she fell in love with him. She's a city girl and he's a Boston boy. So a lot of things and the energies and everything like that. I don't think she knows how to be alone. I
So
don't think she
my
wants to be alone.
compliment of her being, so passionate and ambitious in her love life as much as her career. You're saying there might be a lacking of self-love. Is that what you're saying?
There could be.
Oh, okay.
Like, I mean, listen, there's a lot of women who don't know how to be alone. They have to have, because look at that. Like Alex, she was with A Rod for how many years was she with A Rod?
A couple years, yeah.
Yeah. And then what was like 3, 4 weeks? And then she was with Ben?
Okay, so that is an issue then.
Yeah. I mean, are you really? Because then that means you're not mourning the relationship before. You're not going into what didn't work. Unfortunately, with J Lo, she definitely has something because I'm not saying all her men, but a majority of her men have cheated on her.
Mm-hmm.
A Rod did it. Mark Anthony did it. I mean, who else was she with? I mean, a few people,
She was with Puffy also, yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to, say that he did or he didn't, but if I was a betting person, he probably did. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're not seeing it the same way I see it. I see it as like, you go, girl. Like it didn't work out. Let me. I deserve love. Like, why don't I keep trying at it? I think that's cool.
I think she believes that. Yeah, I definitely think she believes that. But I also think that she moves on too quickly. So there's never a time to think, okay, this was awful. Because are you going to tell me you're with some guy that you were months away from getting married to, right? And then break up with him and now you're with someone else? She did the same thing with Ben the first time around.
I mean, but don't you think that's a situational thing where her life moves that fast, so it's a little bit different than the common person?
No,
I mean, we could disagree. I'm not
yeah.
mad about it at all.
No, I mean,
I'm
I
more saying
don't.
I'm
I
more
mean,
saying
I don't.
I was talking to a friend recently, and they were like, "Oh, I think she's desperate because she's always like, has to be with somebody else." And I was like, I actually feel like sometimes we as people, we get a little shy, we get bashful. Oh, I can't date at this age, I can't do this or whatever, or oh, what are people gonna think? I kind of like the whole, like, I don't give a care what you
Well,
think. I'm Jenny.
I do believe that. I do believe that she doesn't care. I
Mhm.
will say that, but I also don't think that she takes her time because if you go from one relationship to another relationship to another relationship, are you fixing any of the problems that were actually there in the first place?
Maybe she wasn't the problem. Maybe all the guys were.
I'm okay. I have the
I'm not fighting
saying.
with you. I'm just saying
No,
maybe.
no, I love this. I love this. I just feel what will happen is she'll just date the same guy in a different mask, right?
Oh, okay. As long as she ends up back with Mark Anthony, that's who she needs to. That's end game for me.
Oh, I don't think that's
Mark
going to
and
happen.
J-Lo. Mark is he's it. He's the romantic one. That's what she misses. Anyways, it doesn't matter. I just thought that was funny, and the way people in the industry, the Elizabeth Taylor, known for how many marriages.
She had
What do you
8.
what do you think that is? Is it Hollywood dating, or in general, or is it just her specific life? Like, what is
Liz
it that
Taylor was just so damaged.
she was damaged? Oh, okay.
I mean, you're talking about a time where Hollywood would chew women up and spit them out. You know what I mean? And she never really had a voice and was being taken advantage of. And I can go down a list. No, she didn't do that. That was Judy Garland and Liza Minnelli. But I feel she married the same guy twice, right?
She may have, yeah. She may have.
I think so. I think she did. But Elizabeth Taylor, though, also in the same breath, as much as I love Elizabeth Taylor, and I got to see her in the flesh before.
Did you?
Yes, she was at the
Wow.
Abbey. And
Aw.
our mutual friend of ours, Kat, and I were walking into the Abbey,
Yeah.
and she was walking out of the Abbey in her car, and then she waved. She was so cute.
She was always a early on activist in terms of
Yes.
with the HIV/AIDS epidemic of those years, which is kind of unheard of her time.
Oh, she was huge. I remember. I
Yeah.
remember like she stood by like Rock Hudson,
Yeah.
and she really was a huge, her and Elton John. I mean, there was other people, but I always remember them as
Yeah.
being in the forefront of helping with the AIDS in the community and
Yeah.
everything like that. So I find it interesting because like her love, I think she had two loves in her lives. She married one of them twice
Mm.
and then got back on a third time with him. And then I think he passed away. So that was Richard Burton. They loved each other. But her real, I feel, true love was Mike Todd, and he was killed in a airplane crash, if I'm correct. He was killed in either an airplane crash or a car crash.
Like a tragic event, yeah.
Tragic. He was killed tragically. So then that led into that whole Eddie Fisher thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot about, wow, I didn't realize how much I knew about Elizabeth Taylor.
No, that's great.
Relationships. And then, so that led into that whole, drama with Eddie Fisher, Debbie Reynolds.
Mm.
That whole thing, which I thought was crazy too. So there's so many, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she was in the middle of it all, and she was as Hollywood would get at the time. I guess relationships are tough no matter what. We were just concentrating on like the Hollywood aspect of it here today.
Yeah.
Did you have any did you have any opinion on the relationships now that are propped up and are called like hashtag relationship goals, in terms of like, I don't want to really talk about whatever happened with Will Smith slapping, Chris Rock. I'm saying, what about this pressure that couples are getting to be relationship goals? I think it was always a weird situation with Will Smith and Jada Pinkett.
It's always been and if we haven't seen the last few years, their relationship playing out, why would you want that to be your relationship goal?
That's what I never understood, that it was like,
Yeah.
we're celebrating something or forcing something on these people that they clearly are not really wanting to be a part of. And maybe
it's just not. But then you have like, I'll talk about, did you see what happened with Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson in The Paparazzi?
Yeah, I did.
And so now you have this couple who, to me, if you're going to go relationship goals, I would go more that route, right?
Yeah.
And what he did was, I would want my man to do the same thing. When the paparazzi pushed her over, and he turned around, and I've never seen Tom, but I forget that Tom Hanks is from Oakland, and he was like, back the F up, blah, blah,
Yeah.
Now, I'm cool with that, but not going and slapping a dude for making a joke.
Well, those are two totally different
things. But
that wasn't
relationship goals.
If you're, relationship goals,
As far as relationship goals, and then you can even look at like Goldie Hawn and Kurt Russell, right?
Non-married relationship.
Non-married, and they're a great couple.
Yeah.
They are a fantastic couple. I actually, when I was waiting tables a long time ago, I waited tables on them. I actually spilt water on them. But they very sweet, very nice, very loving towards each other.
If you had a chance to like you start falling for somebody, and if you could choose their career, would you want them to? Would you like if you could one or the other? Pick a place. Let's say what's outside of the Los Angeles bubble. Let's say Irvine. You met a guy in Irvine. He's got a great job. He's a doctor. Or you met somebody more relative in the creative fields. You know, like you said, you
Mm-hmm.
moved to Los Angeles to be an actress. Would you rather feel like you would want to date the guy that's in Hollywood, close to what you already know, or would you rather go with the thing that's completely outside of who you are already?
What I would date the person who I was most compatible with, and the person who was my teammate, and the person who, as I would pump them up, they would pump me up. So it really wouldn't matter where we lived. And if they understood that what I do, I had to be in Los Angeles, then we would understand that. And if I understood that they had to be in Irvine, that's fine. Then we could find a middle ground on where to live.
Okay, so just yeah.
Yeah, because once again with relationships, it's hard to it is I'm not going to say that it's easy to meet people. It's easy to meet people. It's harder to meet your person.
Okay.
So if you find someone that's a little out of your vicinity, you can work. It's always workable.
Give me your two best qualities because you're as much as you do this work, you also swipe on the apps. What are your two when you're selling yourself? I mean I assume right.
Yeah.
What are your two best qualities and what are two that you're working on, Dorinda?
Um, two best qualities. My two best qualities are my ability to listen to people. I feel like that's a quality that not a lot of people have. So I think that's a great quality. In my heart, I have a once you really get to know me, my heart and my ride or die for my person. Yeah.
Hmm.
Actually, my sense of humor too. Oh, there's so many.
See, you just got to do a little more work for your own
Yeah,
self,
there's so many. I was
because you're
like,
so busy with everyone else. Yeah.
mhm.
Well, this has been fun. Real quick, just a couple quick plugs here. If you enjoy the episode we're doing now, also go to Randomly with Ronnie Jr., the podcast. It's an interview series and Difficult Podcasters, which is a series recap of the Hulu show, Difficult People. I do that with Kelly
So
Oliski, who's
good.
been a longtime friend. I've known her since 2003. So that's a lot of fun. So we do that. Also, so I feel like I'm always podcasting, but Dorinda was special because she has this thing that's really important to her, and I've seen it grow for a little bit of these years, and I'm always just trying to soak it up like a sponge whenever you're willing to talk.
Awesome. And just to let you know, Ronnie, I have a new book coming out.
Well, the one we talked about self love.
No, I have another one coming out.
Okay, what is that
It's
one called?
called The Dating Diary.
Okay, is it sharing your stories or more?
It is honestly, it is a diary. It's actually pretty cool. I worked on it for a while, this one. And it is exactly what it sounds like. It's a dating diary. But in this diary, it's for 20 dates. I was going to do it for 30, but I had some other people say don't do it for 30 because that's a lot of dates. But there's prompts into every date. So with the prompts, you answer them and then you can also free flow write. And there's also adult coloring pages in there.
Good. Just a lot of peaceful and relax your mind, get yourself together kind of moments.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
get to know you and get to know how you date.
Hmm.
That's
All
also
right. Well,
important.
so far I think I'm a catch, so I feel like I should
You
be
are a
okay.
catch.
But I don't know how the apps feel about me. But I do like the concept. Earlier on, we mentioned this. I like the concept of maybe the paying ones, because if you
I would,
invest a
yeah.
little bit of money, you're going to be more intrigued on who you're looking for. If you don't, it really is just the hookup site, and there is a place for that. I said, but I think that's maybe the biggest bit of advice too is make sure you're signing up for the apps that make sense for you.
So important.
Yeah. I mean, I do think they're difficult. I'm not going to say they're not difficult, but that you have a lot of great resources amongst how difficult they are, and you show that they could be a lot of fun too. And you have success stories, which is really
Oh
great
yeah.
too. She's in love with love. This is Dorinda Barker. I mean, could you believe it? She says she is in love with love. That's exciting. She came to Hollywood when she was young. She reshifted her career a couple of times, and she wears her heart on her sleeve. And so hopefully we had a good, fun conversation talking mostly about the do's and don'ts, dating, Hollywood romance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. NXTconnection.com. If you want to go to the website, it's spelled that way, but it's Next Connection. I always call it NXT.
Oh, that's fine too. I like that.
just hit the website and enjoy it. Give me some of your ultimate rom-coms, because you have a romantic bone in your body like I do. What are your ultimate rom-coms?
Oh, okay. Well, my top is When Harry Met Sally.
Mm-hmm.
That will always be one of my favorite. Oh, that's not a rom-com. Let's not put that there.
It's not?
When a Man Loves a Woman with Meg Ryan and Andy Garcia. That is not a rom-com. She's all that. Like
with Freddie Prinze Jr. Freddie. Oh,
I love that. I think it's so sweet. I really love that one. Pretty in Pink, because I would say that is a rom-commy. And I love High Fidelity. I know that sounds weird, but I really do.
It's cute. It's cute.
Yeah, and I'm a huge music buff, so yeah.
Epitome of the 90s too. The record store and everything. You know what's weird, or maybe this is very telling with me? My new shifted ultimate rom-com is My Best Friend's Wedding. I was always more Coyote Ugly. I thought that was the cutest freaking movie. But I have shifted to My Best Friend's Wedding. It's like a movie that gets better with time. And then somebody goes, well, she doesn't end up with, it's an interesting movie because she doesn't end up with the you think of a movie, You're Gonna Win and Knight in Shining Armor.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, is that something is that telling about me that I'm so comfortable with my favorite rom-com, the one where the person does not win?
But she does win. Yeah. Ultimately. Ultimately she does win. She wins by not getting him.
Yeah. Because that was like a nuisance that she needed to hammer out, and she had her opportunity when she went under the bridge, and that moment will pass you by. Oh, I was tears. I thought that was so cute.
Oh gosh, that is so great. Oh, and Notting Hill. I can't believe I didn't even say Notting Hill.
Yeah. I think there needs to be more romantic comedies. We need to have a little bit more time. We're really hard and rough people right now. We're not really open to talking about our feelings. So shit, we did it for an hour.
We did.
We did.
I was just saying, I just saw 2 good rom-coms. One with your girl in it. I'm going to say Marry Me.
It was good. Yep.
I really liked it. The
music was cute too.
Yeah. It was like that's her song. Marry me, marry me. Anyway, sorry.
I love the song she had where she sang at the auditorium.
Yeah.
It's something called it's falling in love after loss. That's what it's about. So it's basically saying once you break up, it's like, I believe. Da, 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 da. Yeah. And she was just like, could this be love after the loss? And I was like, ooh, that's so cute. Yeah.
It's so cute. And then the new Sandra Bullock movie with Channing Tatum and Brad Pitt.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
I think it's The Lost City.
Probably pretty good.
Yeah, it's really good. So if you have a chance to see it, please go see it. But yes, I'm hoping that they're going to bring rom-coms back, because we need to open that part of ourselves. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Gosh, we don't even have sitcoms anymore. We're the shows at night are game shows and things that have 17 things flying across the screen. Well, in order to do this, the contestant has to do that. It's just so fast. We need to slow
it down.
Say it again with me. Slow it down. Well, I don't talk about relationships a lot, but Dorinda does. So go to her site. Do you have your Instagram handle is what?
My Instagram handle is Dorinda _ the dating hype woman. Dating hype woman.
There it is. All right, we are out of here. Dorinda, I'll talk to you another time. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Hey, Ronnie Jr.